There are some gifts that come not from choice, but from necessity. Some powers that awaken not when we want them, but when our people need them most. This is the story of Queen Adanna, who learned to speak the language of eagles on the day her kingdom began to burn. The kingdom of Oyo sat in a valley between two great rivers, blessed with fertile soil and protected by mountains on three sides. For 100 years, peace had reigned under the wise rule of the royal family. Markets bustled with traders from distant lands. Children played safely in the streets. The granaries overflowed with harvest. Queen Adanna was young, barely 23, when the crown settled on her head after her mother's sudden death. She was beautiful and kind, loved by her people. But many whispered she was too gentle for the crown. Too soft, too trusting. She has her mother's heart, the elders said with approval, but does she have her father's spine? The generals muttered with concern. Adanna heard the whispers, but she chose kindness over fear. She opened the palace doors to anyone seeking justice. She walked among her people without guards. She believed that love could govern where force could not. And for 3 peaceful years, she was right until the day the eagles came screaming. It began at dawn, with a sound that sent servants running from the palace kitchens and guards scrambling for their weapons. A shrieking that split the morning air like a blade. Adanna rushed to her window to find the sky darkened by wings. Hundreds of eagles, circling the palace in a spiral that made the very air vibrate with their cries. They dove and swooped, their calls desperate and urgent, but no one could understand what they wanted. Chase them away, her chief advisor commanded. They'll frighten the people. But something in Adanna's chest pulled tight. Something ancient and knowing. She raised her hand to stop the guards. No, they're trying to tell us something. They're birds, Your Majesty. They tell us nothing. Then why are they here? Why now? Eagles don't gather like this without reason. She climbed to the highest tower of the palace, her heart pounding with a certainty she couldn't explain. The eagles sensed her approach. Their circling tightened, faster and faster, until one broke free from the spiral and landed before her. It was massive, its wingspan wider than Adanna was tall, its feathers the rich brown of earth after rain. Its eyes were not the simple black of a normal bird, but golden and knowing, holding intelligence that made her breath catch. And then it spoke, not in words, exactly. But Adanna heard its voice in her mind as clearly as if someone stood beside her. The language was old, older than her kingdom, older than her bloodline. Yet somehow, impossibly, she understood. War comes. Fire comes. Death comes on the north wind. 3 days. 3 days before the mountain tribes descend. They have been gathering for months in the caves beyond the passes, 5,000 warriors. Your people will be slaughtered unless you prepare, unless you listen. Adanna's knees buckled. She gripped the stone wall for support. How? How can I hear you? Your bloodline carries the gift, dormant until the need awakens it. Your great-grandmother spoke to us. Your great-great-grandfather before her. In times of greatest danger, the eagles speak to those who will listen. We are the eyes of the sky. Queen Adanna, we see what you cannot see. And we are telling you, prepare for war. Adanna called an emergency council. Her generals, advisors, and the priests gathered in the throne room, their faces tight with concern at the urgency of the summons. The mountain tribes are preparing to attack. Adanna announced without preamble. They will strike in 3 days with 5,000 warriors. Silence. Then her chief general, an old warrior named Okafor, cleared his throat carefully. Your Majesty, with respect, how do you know this? We have scouts in the mountains. They've reported nothing unusual. The eagles told me. Another silence. This one heavier. Glances were exchanged. Someone coughed uncomfortably. The eagles. Her chief advisor repeated slowly, as if speaking to a child. Your Majesty, perhaps the stress of recent events. I heard them. I understand their language. It's a gift passed through my bloodline. And they're warning us that war is coming. Okafor stepped forward, his weathered face kind but firm. My queen, I served your mother and your grandfather before her. I have seen many things in my years, but birds do not speak. And we cannot mobilize our entire army based on what might be grief playing tricks on your mind. It's not grief. It's truth. Then send scouts to verify, her advisor suggested smoothly. If there truly is an army gathering, we'll find evidence and can prepare accordingly. We don't have time. They'll be here in 3 days. But she saw it in their eyes. They thought her mad, broken by her mother's death and the weight of the crown. Too gentle, too soft, too trusting of even the birds in the sky. Only the old priestess, Mama Kemi, watched her with different eyes. Ancient eyes that had seen many things the others had not. Your Majesty, Mama, Kemi said quietly, may I speak with you privately? In the temple surrounded by the smoke of sacred herbs, Mama, Kemi took Adanna's hands in her gnarled ones. Your great-grandmother came to me once, when I was just a young priestess. She told me about the eagles, about the gift. She made me swear that if anyone in your line showed the signs, I would help them understand. Then it's real. I'm not losing my mind. You are awakening to what you always were. The protectors of Oyo have always had help from those who fly above. But the gift only comes when great danger threatens, because it demands great sacrifice. What sacrifice? To speak the language of eagles means to see as they see, to feel as they feel. You will know the kingdom's dangers before they strike. But you will also carry the weight of that knowledge alone. Others will doubt you, mock you, think you mad. Can you bear that burden? Adanna thought of her people, of the children playing in the streets, of the mothers nursing their babies, of the old men telling stories in the marketplace, of all the peaceful lives that would be shattered if she did nothing. I can bear anything if it keeps them safe. Mama, Kemi smiled sadly. Then listen to the eagles, child. And trust yourself even when no one else will. Adanna returned to her council with new resolve. General Okafor, he am ordering full mobilization of our forces. Every able warrior to the north wall. Every sword sharpened, every arrow fletched. Evacuate the northern villages to the interior. We prepare for siege. Your Majesty, I must protest. I am not asking, General. I am commanding. Something in her voice had changed. It carried the authority of certainty, the power of absolute conviction. Okafor looked at his queen, truly looked at her, and saw something he hadn't seen before. Steel beneath the softness. Strength beneath the kindness. He bowed, As you command, my queen. For 3 days, Oyo transformed into a fortress. Adanna stood on the walls each dawn, and the eagles came to her. They showed her through their eyes where the enemy camped. How many warriors gathered, what weapons they carried, which pass they would use to descend from the mountains. Her generals thought she was guessing. Her advisors whispered that she had gone mad with paranoia. Place archers on the eastern ridge. The first wave will come from there at dawn. How can you know that, Your Majesty? I know. Strai. The evacuations were complete by the second day. The walls were reinforced. The warriors took their positions. And still, some doubted. What if she's wrong? Young soldiers whispered. What if there is no attack? But Adanna knew. She could feel it in the tension of the eagle's wings, hear it in their urgent cries. War was coming like a storm, and she would meet it ready. On the morning of the 3rd day, as the sun crept over the eastern mountains, the lookouts saw them. An army, vast and terrible, pouring down from the mountain passes like a dark flood. 5,000 warriors, just as the eagles had said. They came with siege towers and battering rams, expecting to find a peaceful kingdom sleeping in false security. Instead, they found walls bristling with spears and arrows. They found an army deployed perfectly to meet their advance. They found a kingdom ready for war. General Okafor stood beside his queen on the wall, his eyes wide with shock and something like awe. You knew. You truly knew. The eagles do not lie, General. They never have. The battle that followed was fierce but short. The mountain tribes had counted on surprise, on finding victims instead of warriors. When they met organized resistance, their courage faltered. Adanna did not fight with sword or spear. Her weapon was knowledge. The eagles circled above the battlefield, and through their eyes, she saw everything, every flanking movement, every attempt at deception, every weakness in the enemy line. She directed her forces like a master drummer directing a festival, each order precise and perfectly timed. Archers to the western gate. They're trying to circle behind us. Cavalry ready at the southern postern. When they retreat, we pursue, hold the center. Hold, hold, now push. By midday, it was over. The mountain tribes retreated back to their passes, defeated not just by Oyo's warriors but by the impossibility of their task. You cannot surprise an enemy who sees you coming from miles away. You cannot defeat a kingdom that knows your every move before you make it. The cost was heavy. Oyo lost brave warriors that day. But the kingdom survived. The people were safe. And it was all because a young queen had the courage to listen when eagles spoke. That evening, as the wounded were tended and the dead were honored, General Okafor approached Adanna on the wall, where she stood watching the sunset. I owe you an apology, Your Majesty. I doubted you. We all did. You didn't see what I saw. You didn't hear what I heard. I don't blame you for doubt. How did you know? Truly. Adanna gestured to the sky. What is the secret to your gift, in the fading light? Grandmother? How can I learn to speak to eagles? The same way the river knows to flow around rocks. My people needed protection. The eagles needed someone to hear their warning. We found each other at the exact moment we were meant to. Will they keep coming? The eagles. when danger threatens and someone needs to listen. Yes, the gift is not mine alone. It belongs to anyone brave enough to hear what others cannot. Queen Adanna ruled for 40 years, and her kingdom never again faced war unprepared. The eagles remained her constant companions, bringing her warnings of droughts and floods, of plagues and plots, of all the dangers that could threaten her people. Under her rule, Oyo became known as the safest kingdom in all the lands. For who could attack a realm whose queen had eyes in the sky? But more than that, Adanna taught her people to listen, to pay attention to the warnings carried on wings, to trust in the wisdom of the natural world, to understand that sometimes the most important messages come from unexpected messengers. When she was old and her time was coming to an end, her granddaughter asked, "What is the secret to your gift, grandmother?" "How can I learn to speak to eagles?" Adanna's my ears. You learn by listening, not just with your ears, but with your heart. The eagles speak to those who need to hear them and who are brave enough to act on what they learn, even when everyone thinks you're wrong. Trust yourself, little one. Trust the wisdom that comes on wings. And never stop listening to what the world is trying to tell you. Sometimes the greatest wisdom comes from the most unexpected sources. Sometimes we must trust what we know in our hearts, even when the world tells us we're wrong. And sometimes the gift we need most is the courage to listen to voices others cannot hear. Queen Adanna could have ignored the eagles. She could have trusted her advisors and generals over her own newfound gift. She could have chosen the easy path of doubt over the difficult path of faith. But she chose to listen, to believe, to act. And in doing so, she saved her kingdom. Remember this, the world speaks to us in many languages. The wind carries warnings, the birds bring messages, the earth trembles with truth. But we must have the courage to listen, the wisdom to understand, and the strength to act even when we stand alone. Moral lesson: trust your instincts even when others doubt you. True leadership means having the courage to act on wisdom others cannot see. Listen to the warnings around you, even when they come from unexpected sources. For sometimes the greatest protection comes from paying attention to what others dismiss.